I'm Miranda Wright. My family's from Nulato on the Yukon River in the Doyon region. I was born in the winter camp called St. Hela. It's on the upper Innoko River. So I spent my early childhood in St. Hela, and we travel down the Innoko River during the spring after the breakup and fish on the Yukon River for the salmon season, and then return in August to our winter camp. So that's where I spent my early years. And I think I was in high school. This was during the period when the Rampart Dam was a hot issue. And I was involved with the debate club at Mount Edgecombe High School. And that was one of the topics that I debated. I had a lot of classmates who came from the villages on the Yukon River that would have been flooded by the Rampart Dam. And so the issue was very dear to them, and so it really struck a note with me also. I was involved with my village corporation way back. I was trying to remember the dates. In the early 70s, Nick Owen Limited, which was the Nulato Village Corporation, and we had other village corporations in the area that were very small and struggling. So we took it upon ourselves to work with them and consolidate our villages into Ganayu Limited. Caltag, Nulato, Koyukuk, and Galena merged their village corporations. I believe that was in 1978. After the merger occurred, then I didn't seek re-election. I had a young daughter that needed my attention at home. And then I took a little time off, then I ran for the Doyon board, and I've been on the Doyon Limited Board of Directors for the last 15 years. Well, there was a lot of discussion about the land, and the one thing that I remember most is people's concern, and this is more from a personal level, their concern with native allotments and what would happen to their native allotments. So there was a lot of activity as selections were being made for ANCSA. People were looking at their native allotments and becoming very actively involved in securing their land title. And many of them had sat dormant for years. And all of a sudden there was this surge to secure land titles, which I thought was very interesting, especially from the perspective of our people, where titles to the land was, kind of a foreign concept. When you stop and you look at ANCSA and the timing of the settlement of ANCSA, was right with the discovery of oil on the North Slope, and land claims issues. I mean, had been around for generations and had not received much attention. But to me, the timing was critical, and I think really illustrates the depth of the concept of manifest destiny and the development and the power that industry has over development in America. And that included Alaska. But then, you take it, and say, okay, ANCSA has happened, and, we're living with it. And I think it's really a great economic tool for us as Native people. And I think being able to be very proactive in moving ANCSA forward for the benefit of our people is really important. There's a lot of things, I think, going on with ANCSA, and I think as long as we look at it in a very unified manner, where instead of one region against another, I think we can be very effective and very powerful. You look at the success of Alaska Native corporations in the economic field and the impact that they have on the economy in Alaska, and I think that's a great benefit also. As far as individuals are concerned, I think it's a different story. ANCSA, through education opportunities and employment opportunities, has really benefited a few Alaska Natives. When you look at it from the individual level, the Alaska Native corporations can never satisfy the needs of all of our shareholders. Our dividends can never meet the needs that we have out there. We can never employ all of our shareholders. So there are those types of issues that we have to grapple with. But I think from the larger perspective, when we look at ANCSA as a whole and the power that the Native people have in a political front has become very, very effective in looking at other issues that our Native people have to deal with. And just the power that our leaders have on the Hill in Washington, D.C., I think is very effective. I was just reading an article by the mayor for the North Slope Borough in dealing with some of the issues for the ICC and the power that he had in generating this conversation with Secretary Salazar and having Secretary Salazar commit to coming to Barrow this coming August. And again, you're just that political clout that the Native community has, I think, is very, very effective. That's something I think, especially our young people, have a difficult time grappling with. Most boards are policy makers. And because of, I think, the structure of the corporations as regional corporations and village corporations, we still have many of our own shareholders who are confused as to what the exact roles are. The fact that we have so many nonprofit entities within the Native community that trying to ascertain what your roles are from a profit perspective versus a nonprofit perspective, I think sometimes there's confusion. Even the services that are offered sometimes get cross-wired. But as policymakers, I think that's the biggest role that we have in setting the direction for our corporations and not micromanaging your management team. I think being able to set the plan, the strategic plan and outlook for your corporation, and then having an effective team hiring an effective executive to manage the staff to carry out the directives of the board is something that's very important. But I think as the corporations also grow, the practice of just electing people that you know because they're your friends or your family has taken kind of a swing in the shift to a more, I don't want to use the word professional, but a more awareness, increased awareness among shareholders of what the needs are at the corporate level, and looking at people who have experience in business or understanding financial markets and the accounting principles and cash flow analysis and those types of considerations, I think, are now coming into play. And there's a greater awareness among shareholders of what that all means as far as the role of directors on the corporate boards are. I don't know that their relationship to the land has changed. Maybe their activities have changed, but I think the connections, the spiritual connections that so many people have to the land, I think is still very strong. We have some people who were raised outside of the region who maybe don't have that same connection, but I don't think that's an impact of ANCSA. That's a personal choice of where they're going to be living. The fact that we have better economic standards or standards of living, I think people look at as saying, well, you've been acculturated and you don't have that connection with the land. But I think the cultural values are still very strong in most of our shareholders and tribal peoples. And so that connection is still there. While they may not be out there hunting and trapping like they did or their grandparents did, there's a reciprocal relationship that's developed. Those people who have those economic opportunities or employment opportunities and live in the urban centers are still participating with their families that live in the rural areas, whether it's providing gasoline for their motorboats or their four-wheelers, and then having that bartering system of the family then providing them with their subsistence resources or foods in return for that influx of cash into their economy. So there's still that connection. It just looks a little different today. I just think it's a great opportunity. I think as long as we're proactive, and the sharing, the collaborative efforts between corporations, I think is very important. Not just from the concept of 7i sharing, but just coming together. And I think part of the efforts of the ANCSA CEO group addresses that sharing at a broader level between across corporate borders. I think the efforts that they have underway right now for workforce development with the University of Alaska is an example of that sharing that I'm talking about. Get out the Native vote in building awareness among the Native populations of the importance of exercising their right to vote. Those types of efforts, I think, are very important. Even the clout that we have in Washington. You know, when there's issues that are very important or federal policies that are very important to Alaska Natives, we come together as a group. And I think that is something that's very strong and helps keep us unified.